Welcome to Noob Friendly Guides, a series designed to introduce new and low elo Valorant players to maps, agents, and more. This week we're going to be talking about one of my personal favorite agents, Reyna. Now, Reyna can seem incredibly intimidating to play, especially if you're new, lower elo, or just not altogether a confident player. But I'm here to tell you that whether you're Radiant or Iron, there is always a place for her, and in fact, you will rarely go a game without seeing her being selected. One thing that I want to say nice and early is don't be overly concerned with how fast some people play her. With enough practice, you'll have her utilities or Util down in no time, as in my opinion, she's actually one of the simplest agents to learn, but still one of the most difficult agents to absolutely master. Anyway, let's get to the video and get you shouting, "They will cower!" Now let's start with Reyna's Util. The first piece of Reyna's Util is called Leer, and it looks like this. Leer is a short-ranged blind that only affects the other team. It does not blind your teammates, unlike a Sky Flash or a Phoenix Flash. This is what it looks like. And if you were on the enemy side and you were here, you would be blinded. However, to note, if you are blinding somebody with Leer, and they are able, for example, to hide behind a wall like this, the Leer will not affect them. They have to be fully facing it in order to be blinded. For the next three pieces of Reyna's Util, you need soul orbs, and in order to get these soul orbs, you need to kill agents, not bots. So I'm going to be using some of my in-game footage in order to show you and give you these examples on how to use these three pieces of Util. The next piece of Util is called Devour. When you kill somebody, they leave behind a soul orb, which means that if you click Devour in time, which is usually 3 seconds, and you are not at 100% health, which means 150 HP, you will absorb their health, including and up to 150 HP. You can also often hear this piece of Util referred to as a suck or sucking, due to the motion of sucking the soul out of somebody's body in order to gain their HP. The next piece of Util is called Dismiss. Now this follows pretty much the same premise as Devour, however instead of consuming your kill's health, you become untouchable for a few seconds and can get yourself to immediate safety. And the last piece of Reyna's Util is called Empress. This is your ultimate, otherwise known as your ulti. When you activate this, your bullets fire faster, you reload faster, everything is faster. You also automatically devour any kill and absorb their health, and if you hit the dismiss button, you become invisible. This is often referred to as being an incredibly OP or overpowered piece of Util that only Reyna possesses. Now we will be discussing Reyna's role in the team. Reyna is a duelist, and what that means is that she is expected to gain access to sites, often through brute force, and is expected to get a higher amount of kills than other non-duelist agents. Now let's quickly break that down. Point 1. You are expected to be entering the site for your team using your Leer and your ability to kill in order to create space on the site itself so that the other agents can follow you in, plant the bomb, and set up for post-plant situations. Point 2. You are expected to get kills or frags, whether it be through entering site, or if you already have another duelist on your team and maybe someone with flashes, then you will be able to play more aggressively by attacking potential flanks and alternate angles in order to preemptively protect your team from the enemy rotating. This is a much more high-risk approach, and if you are not quite confident in your aim just yet, I recommend sticking to point 1 by pushing site with your team and creating space for them to plant. If you are not doing either of these two things, then you are failing in your role as Reyna and putting your team at a disadvantage. Now some tips on how to use Reyna's flash effectively. Aim Reyna's flash or Leer high when entering site like this. What this will create is a really difficult situation for people to defend, because everybody here that can see that flash is now blind, and in order to get rid of it, they will have to shoot the flash 3 or 4 times, which gives you an incredibly advantageous position to shoot them. So what you should be doing is this. Aim your flash high, they are now blinded, pop out at that same time, and start shooting while they are blind. And the other option is aiming your Leer low. Now I often wouldn't recommend this, as aiming high tends to do as much damage as it can do. However, when you have the higher ground on maps like Fracture, aiming low is actually a really good way to throw people's aim off, because they will have to aim insanely low to get rid of the Leer and then flick up in order to try and hit you, giving you a large amount of time to shoot them. So on a map like Fracture in Tower, what I would do is this. Aim low, pop out and start shooting. They will have to then shoot here and then try and aim at you at the same time. It's an incredibly difficult thing to do, and it gives you all the advantage. And lastly, what I recommend to not do is to use your Leer directly in the line of sight, as this will give people the easiest way to shoot not only the Leer but also yourself at the same time. If you were to do this, for example, somebody coming from this angle just has to shoot directly at it, because they're likely to see your feet as soon as they pop out from behind the wall in that brief moment before they actually fully blinded. So like I was recommending, aim high, so they have to go there to your face, or if you really want, aim low, so they have to flick upwards. Either way, make it as extreme as possible to make life as difficult as possible and get their crosshair away from your head. And now some extra tips on how to play Reyna. You can actually dismiss early if you like, in order to cut down your time if you've already gotten yourself to safety, by simply hitting the same keybind that you use with dismiss. Another tip that some people might disagree with, but I have found to be extremely effective, is actually buying up big time if you win the first pistol round. Now, the first pistol round is important, and if you win this round and get a few kills in the meantime, you will likely have enough money to buy a Vandal or a Phantom without buying Shield. Now, what I recommend is doing this instead of buying a Spectre and a Shield, because very rarely will a team who has lost the pistol round actually force, so the chances are that they will have pistols again. Now, what forcing is, if you're unaware, is losing a pistol round or losing an eco round and still buying up as much as possible. This is kind of rare because it puts you in an incredibly disadvantageous position if you lose, pretty much making the next 2 or 3 rounds very difficult to buy a proper gun and get kills. It's a little bit of self-suicide there that I do not recommend. So what I would recommend is taking advantage of this by buying up if you get a few kills on the first pistol round, buying a Vandal or a Phantom, playing confidently, getting a kill, and hitting Devour, which will absorb your opponent's health immediately and will give you overheal. This will give you 150 HP as well as having a Vandal or a Phantom, and you will almost guaranteed get at least 1 more kill, because you will be coming up against, at the very best, a Spectre with no shield. In these situations, I actually recommend buying a Vandal and playing from range, because if you do this with close contact fighting and you lose, the enemy will now have a free Vandal, but if you die from range, then a teammate can simply pick up your gun. If you don't feel confident in doing this, then a simple Spectre, Marshal plus Shield will suffice. Reyna is the only agent that is able to overheal, and this is just a little tip that I have been doing recently that I have found to actually catch people off guard, because most of the time they're expecting to verse nothing more than a Spectre. So if you have a Vandal, you have the advantage. And lastly, you are expected to get kills as Reyna, and also Jet, and pretty much any other duelist. And these agents tend to receive far more criticism for getting low frags than other agents. However, if you are playing your role, you are creating space on site, you are giving your team the opportunity to plant, and your sentinels and controllers have time to set up effectively, then in my opinion, you have done your role. So don't take any of the negativity too harshly if you're not getting a lot of frags, as long as you're playing your role. What?
Oh, beautiful, Reyna.
We lost. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, I would really appreciate it if you could give me a big thumbs up, drop a comment, subscribe, or even come and check me out live on Twitch, where you'll be able to ask me questions in real time as well as see some amazing and hilarious content. As I'm still fairly new to both Twitch and YouTube, any support that you can send my way is hugely appreciated. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.